So you have a seller who has a property and they're asking $700,000 for the property, and it could be worth $1.2 million. Today I'm going to talk to you about, can you wholesale luxury real estate? Now, the answer to that question is you absolutely can. The caveat to that question is, should you? Should you be wholesaling luxury? Now, I'm going to go into some of the most common mistakes I see people make when these deals come across my desk, right? The big one being they just don't understand that when the numbers get up there higher, the swing becomes greater, right? Think about it when you were a little kid and you were on the swing set, right? And you're swinging, pumping your legs. Maybe you have somebody pushing you. And the higher you get, the more that fall starts to feel and build up in the pit of your stomach, right? And the higher you get, the more risk you're taking. The swing is very similar in luxury real estate, right? When you get up to these higher price points, there's a lot more risk. And so the most common mistake I see people making when they're underwriting these deals, right? They see those six-figure potential profits, or they see that they could make a potential six-figure wholesale fee, and the buyer could have 6 figures of profit. So they're just putting that on there, right? Reality of the situation is they just didn't understand that the swing and the risk is so much more adverse in these higher price points and these luxury price points that they didn't consider what it's like for their end buyer. So I'm going to go over what it's like for your end buyer so that you can understand that you can, but you maybe should not if you don't understand these principles, wholesale luxury real estate. So that being said, the first thing is comping for that ARV, okay? When you're comping for luxury or higher price points, whatever that subjective term is to you, you need to understand that more often than not, unless you're in like a major inner city, that you are going to have a situation where you see a property 1 through 6 as your comps, okay? Property 1 sold for 1.2 million. Property 6 sold for 1.6 million. So you're going to say the property's worth 1.6. That's what I see sometimes. Sometimes people are like, it's 1.4. Easy, all day, every day. To your buyer, at best, that's 1.2. I'm going to tell you why that is. Because they're going to own that property probably more than a year. If you are not looking at the days on market and considering what those holding costs are, and you don't understand that a 6-figure potential profit can get eaten up so quickly in a year, that a lot can change in a year, so much can change in a year, that the rehab in and of itself can take a long time on a luxury property, that you aren't even underwriting that rehab correctly because you didn't consider the cost of the outdoor kitchen, the pool with the spa, with the sauna, with the lanai, with the basketball court. You didn't understand the cost of the amenities that your property may not have. You didn't understand the upkeep. You didn't understand what it was like for those holding costs. You don't understand that being 5% off on your rehab budget even, or your holding costs, or something like that, is a huge swing when we're talking about $1.4 million, you know? And so what happens is people start to get those numbers a little bit wrong, and all of a sudden there's no profit left for the buyer at the end of the day. Your end buyers are going to be so much more risk adverse because of that swing, because of that price point. Now, as somebody who has flipped several luxury properties as well as wholesaled several luxury properties, I can tell you our biggest mistakes in our career were those luxury properties that we flipped, because we were conservative on our ARV. We were conservative on our rehab. But just the sheer simple fact that our contractors didn't get it done in time, our costs ate it up. Okay. We thought we were being smart. So your end buyers, you have to know how to underwrite that. You have to pad that rehab budget, not just be conservative. You have to understand that a 1% shift in the interest rate could make a huge difference a year from now to their buyer's market when they list it. You have to understand that the competition on the market right now for their end buyers is going to potentially look different in a year. You have to underwrite them so much more deeply. And this is why you can't just underwrite things. You've got to underwrite. You've got to use the web formula. You've got to look at the potential profit. You've got to understand that just because there's 200,000 potential profit dollars doesn't mean you should write in $100,000 wholesale fee and expect that to sell. Because when their buyer's pool narrows, which just the price point alone in most places in our country, you have a more narrow buyer's pool for properties over $1 million. But also, you have to understand that if you are wholesaling it, your buyer's pool is going to be more narrow. And the deeper that you lock that up, the more likely they are going to be, you're going to have a broader buyer's pool. You really need to look for buyers that will invest in these properties and what they're paying for them up front. People make these same mistakes a lot with new construction, which maybe I'll just do a separate video on that, new construction, maybe land. Understanding these real estate principles, you guys, is so incredibly vital to becoming better at underwriting, to becoming better at understanding where end buyers buy, how investors make money. And a lot of the common mistakes that I see being made out there in our industry is that people just do not focus on how the deal that they structure is a possible investment. So it's just one of those things. You've got to pad for that swing, right? So when I say pad for the swing, that means if you're on that swing as a kid, use this as a visual. The bigger the swing gets, the more you want that, what do you call those things? Like the mat that's like, 4 feet thick for you to land on, like in gymnastics. The more you want to pad, the higher the swing potential, the more you want to pad and more you want to cushion there to land on for some risk. And you need to build that into how you're underwriting it. So can you wholesale luxury real estate? Absolutely. But if you do not understand these principles, my suggestion is that you shouldn't until you do, so that everybody wins and you're not out there letting yourself down and letting other people down. And this is just something I think that we need to talk more about. So what do you guys think? Make sure you smash those like buttons and tell me what you think about wholesaling luxury real estate. Tell me what your experiences have been as a flipper or wholesaler. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear you guys, be a part of this topic. It's something I think is really vitally important that not enough people talk about when it comes to underwriting. So that being said, I appreciate you guys. Share it with your friends, and we'll see you next time.